Hey, good morning, everybody. I set up YouTube and I had a fat finger moment, I guess. I closed everybody out of there, had to restart it. Things happen. All right. So it appears, I was looking at Bitcoin before and looked at this, but it appears that we have a pretty classic type of potential for a correction day type of day here. Now, that doesn't mean prices have to go down a whole bunch, but just the typical things, prices moving up to areas of resistance. They moved up quite a bit in a short amount of time. Many markets look, the same from that perspective, the indices. And we've got things like Bitcoin and crude oil that are weaker. They didn't bounce much. So, we talked about this earlier in the week, how, Bitcoin, was stronger here. Markets went up, topped out exactly on this day. Many of the indices topped out around that time or exactly on that day and then pulled back. And now, as they have had that big bounce, Bitcoin's done nothing. And crude oil bounced up a bit, but a classic type of a sell setup, coming up into the area of the 20. You can see it's down here a little bit as it popped up there, took out those two highs and came back in. Nothing much of significance to the left, but sometimes it doesn't have to be because of the bearish trend. So we got oil that looks like, well, it's already, the smaller time frame, it's trending down already, but at support on the hourly. This is why we use multiple time frames. So on one time frame, we can clearly see that it's trending down. Now, it's beginning to stabilize there. And you should always ask, well, why is it stabilizing there? Is there anything to the left? So you could scrunch this up, of course, and go over there and see where there's some data. Or, sometimes we just have another chart up there from a higher time frame to see, from a longer term perspective and more data, what's going on. And we see that oil, crude oil is down here at support. There's going to be some buyers, and anybody that's short, well, if they're looking at the chart, they know to cover or, maybe go long. It's in a downtrend, different types of strategies, of course. So markets, S&Ps, run for the exits, fire. It's going down, whippy price action, and everything's okay. We're right back up the escalator again and up at resistance, chopping sideways. Yesterday was a consolidation day. And now we see if this breaks this low here. And if it does, how far down does it go? And so on. SPX mentioned it was struggling there at 4,700, trying. And for good measure, it popped its head above there right at the close. I guess, bring in a few buyers and say, oh, it gotten through. Let's go. And, futures came right back in again. So that might be a little supply coming into the market as far as those that thought, oh, this will continue to go up. There's a huge open interest there. So something to have been aware of. And that's why it's been struggling there. One of the reasons it's struggling there, besides being in an area of some price resistance. But as we talked about, this move up was powerful. It gapped up and it ran, which created this huge void, but it wouldn't go down. So that is bullish. So, to have the thought that it could get through that open interest and possibly drive prices higher was reasonable, but it couldn't do it. It got stuck there. And now, nothing of significance yet. So what we've talked about for some, a while, we talk about different concepts here pre-market. But remember, we were talking here as prices were going up. Well, hey, that's moved a whole bunch. And I said, okay, that's fine. Maybe it's going to retrace, which would be normal, but has it violated and closed below a prior day's low yet? And it did that over here. So I was like, all right, we got a topping tail, close below the prior day's low, maybe get a little pullback. No, it flipped right back up again. So that's called a continuation pattern. And that, of course, is bullish. So now that prices are up into this resistance, we've got this void. Can it go sideways another day? Because look, if it can go sideways, right, this is not the same thing. It's the same but different, right? The concept is the same in that you have a run up. This one started from a bottom. This one is starting after a run, so it could take a longer amount of time of consolidation. But the concept is that after running up and creating a price void, to go sideways and create resistance or support, I should say, is bullish. So here, what happened, and this is all part of the MTS thought process. And granted, it takes a little bit of time of working with it like anything else for it to become second nature. So as prices are going up and create the void, that PL, pivot low, simply bar with 3 higher lows to the left and right. It's got to have at least 3. It could have 12. It doesn't matter. Creates support. Now that we've got a newly created reference point of support, that is where buyers should want to step up again. Lo and behold, right, yesterday we were talking about this little wide range bar moving up like that, and it was starting to creep lower. And I mentioned, well, if it breaks here, it should go lower. Well, lower to where? Well, here's this pivot low. Will it break it? Maybe. That's the unknown. When it got there, buyers stepped up again, and they pushed it back up to the area of the prior pivot high, pivot high, pivot high. Can't get through. It can't get through. And now, whether we wouldn't call this a head and shoulders top, but who cares what you call it? It's going sideways, and we could call this a neckline. So if it breaks that, it opens up the door to lower. Lower to where? Well, there's a pivot low over here. But now there's a pivot low versus a big top. Can it hold here? Maybe, but it's less likely. All part of the MTS thought process. So when it gets down there, I'm assuming it gets down there, right, at the beginning of the day, how does it get down there? Does it creep down there, taking hours? Or does it, at the open, go boom and just get slammed down there, which would be another power bar? So different ways of getting to the reference point will guide us to the probability of, let it go up here, back down, and so on. All right. So we're starting the day with a little consolidation. As you can see, everything is negative, but so far, really not that big of a deal. We'll see how it unfolds. All right. Let's clean this little mess up and go on to the Russell, which got destroyed. Look at the date, 11/8. When did Bitcoin go down? 11/8, 11/9, went down. This bounced up. Bitcoin's just sitting there doing nothing. Oil bounced up. Russell, you want to keep an eye on biotechs, XBI, financials, regional banks, KBE. And so they were doing okay yesterday, and of course did there. And we've got the same consolidation going on. Does it break? And if it breaks here, this could set up some type of a sloppy W bottom. We'll have to see. It's in a significant area of support. It came down really bad, right? Straight down vertical, power move down. It's like proverbial falling off the roof and breaking a few legs. You're not going to get up and run too quickly. You got to do some damage repair. Now let's see what buyers can do here. Right? Meaning, one of the most bullish things it could do. Well, there's so many, but an abrupt bullish type of price action would be this to go down. Let's get this right. This to go further down today. Now, I know it's not gapping down, but maybe a bottoming tail bar, but we'd want to see it break the low and then come right back up at the end of the day. And that could send this up in that way as a continuation type of pattern. I know those are converging there, but there's really nothing to the left there. So one of the scenarios that could play out, but either way, today, some type of correction day has begun. We'll see how far it goes. The Dow running up into price resistance there, stalled, technical analysis 101. Right? Resistance, right? Support, distance between the two. How far do they retrace? It retraced all the way. That was nasty. That's bullish. Can it go sideways at resistance? Can it form a correction bar? So yesterday was the consolidation day. Today may be another. So far it looks that way. Maybe it goes a bit lower. Sellers aren't running for the exits here. It's just kind of creeping down here pre-market. It's negative. S&Ps up at resistance, same story, bottoming out for the moment. Hourly chart looks the same. YM we looked at. Silver, it couldn't get going, so we see this climactic kind of a move and little bottoming tail, no range expansion bars. I mean, it's trying. And this is why we say, let's see if it can take out these prior bars highs. And now it's breaking down. Now, we see what's to the left here. It's coming right down to this bottoming tail bar. If at the end, if we're looking at this tomorrow and this is a bottoming tail bar, or it looks like this at the end of the day today, buy it. Okay. If this wide range red bar turns into a bottoming tail bar, by the end of the day, that'll be a breakdown failure. It will be a range expansion bar. So it could be a bottoming tail range expansion bar. Buy some tomorrow. Well, if it takes out the high, buy more. And let's see how far this retraces. Gold holding up, showing some relative strength so far. I could certainly make the case for, well, it's not a head and shoulders because it went up. This is just a, I don't know, crazy kind of a pattern, such strength and back down again. But we've been seeing a lot of this, but, sideways up, sideways. We'll see if it follows silver or whether silver was leading, or maybe silver turns out to be a shakeout. I don't know. Stay away. We looked at oil, sell setup. Bitcoin is just hanging here. So we're not sure. It could have bounced more. So that tells us that buyers that were so aggressive over here, they're not so aggressive to want to, step up here again. So there's a lot of uncertainty, try to hold here and it failed. So see what happens there. We've got a lot of stuff going on. That's like, maybe today is just, could be another sit on your hands type of day. Interest rates coming down a little bit. That's the 5-year. All right, that's the 10-year coming down. So maybe financials have a little pressure on them today too, correction. And transports, same story, correction days and yesterday and what's going on here today. And so pretty much everywhere we look turns out to be a correction type of day. It looks like what's happening, and we'll just have to see how far it goes or not too far. But don't be so anxious to press the accelerator here today until we get more information. Or yours, Dan.
Are you done?
That's the key. When I say all yours, Dan, that means I'm done.
Yeah, I was in the other room. And I just heard silence. All right. That's, things down here a little bit. We had a number of longs that did not triggered yesterday. This was one I've been watching for a couple of days. Look at keys. Today's Thursday, so Tuesday. I was watching this on that nice gap. I see it. Well, the minder shows it up, $1.83, but I don't see any prints. This triple R was on our list. What is this? I'm not getting pre-market. Yeah, no, I'm getting pre-market here. Here's spiders. For some reason, triple R's, I'm seeing a print of 52 cents. But I like that. Nice, nice, just breakout of a sideways trend. You know, we were talking about bottoming patterns yesterday on MT Live, right? And you have bottoming patterns in different trends. You know, after getting decimated, where everything's in a downtrend, and then we talked about these big pullbacks and a longer term uptrend, this bottoming pattern. That's exactly what we have right here. So that's on my long list. Cost we have is a call spread watch. I was hoping to get a 1, 2, 3, and as of right now, that's exactly what we'll get. A pen here, bottoming pattern. Now see, this is one, this would be a short-term bottoming pattern with all three 20, 50, 200 nasty down. But, you know, set an alarm up here, 53.25, and we'll take, that's right, David, Costco, I forgot. What was the other monster we were looking at? Home Depot. Yeah, Home Depot's on my call spread watch. Things just been crazy strong for a long time. Look at that, this was earnings gap. Remember 11.16? And some people say, oh, all gaps get filled. Well, that's an incorrect statement. All right, with Bitcoin down, our Mister, we have a 580, 580 for tomorrow. So we just need that melting ice cube. Look at some gappers here, new stocks, IPW, I saw ripping here pre-market. Good setup as a day trade. Let's see, LCID. LCID I saw is doing a secondary offering. I don't know if there's any other bad news associated with this gap down, but you know, it's a stay away from now. So I just looked at Nikola competitor. And this one could be setting up a tradable bounce. You can see it's also in a nasty downtrend all time frames. But we're traders, you know, 1 to 3 day bounces are fine for us. AAL, the journal said they're not going to be flying as much overseas because of Boeing production problems. Boeing's down. We had a nice naked put on this that we closed into strength. Now this looks like a call spread for tomorrow. So this looks great. Gapping down to yesterday's low, sell setup. All right, so that's a tier 1, maybe 10-minute low. We'll look at a call spread. CVS had got an upgrade. It was a whole lot stronger. Now, no interest. Path, that might have been earnings, sell setup. Perry earnings, 22, bearish gap down, but it's a buy setup. Now, if this didn't have this big gap down, let's just say it opened flat and it took out yesterday's high, this would be a good long because you got the buy setup in reversal after this little gap and trading under Tuesday's low. That would have been a nice long, but the gap's messing it up. Amazon, the journal said somewhere in Europe, Italy, or I don't know where, they're paying a $1.3 billion fine. Wow. That's a big number. PHR, I see nothing. I think it was earnings. We'll come back to you. Trillium, 282. Yeah, it's, but no patterns, the problem. GEF earnings, but I can't tell where you're gapping. Uber, the journal mentioned Europe is going after them to make them give employees more rights, and that's obviously not good to Uber. Sounds like socialism to me. Check his cousin out, Lyft. So Lyft is one of those things. It's not a bottoming pattern, but it could be the term for riding the elevator back up. But it really has to get over Tuesday's high, or minimum yesterday's high. $22 over. This one's worth watching, riding the elevator back up. I'll put this here, UDMY. Let's see if maybe 30-minute high. Curve 12. That's a nasty gap. That's a nasty gap to all-time lows. CURV. Sportsman's wear. Wow, what's happened to this thing in the last few days? That got whacked. That's no, Rita has to be that. The downgrade doesn't cause this. I promise you with 99.9% confidence that downgrade occurred in connection with some bad news. No brokerage firm can make you lose whatever 40% of market cap on a downgrade. We'll watch that, see what happens. 627, big old gap. No pattern. We'll come back to you. No pattern. OXM. LCID we talked about. Now there's a bottoming pattern. See? It's trying to bottom, made a new low. So you got a new low reversal. 20 MA flattening. It's gapping here to $20 or so, but there's no volume. But it's up 5 bars, really needs to go sideways. Diego HPQ short. So this is riding the elevator down in a strong uptrend, but it's building overhead supply with these red bars and going sideways. So yeah, very possible short there. Sienna, Greg, you mentioned the other day, and I said, shoot, it had earnings. And look at that big old gap. This was one, Greg, I asked you, hey, what about selling a naked 58 into earnings? They work sometimes and they don't sometimes, but yeah, it was a bullish breakout on Tuesday. This is in a nasty downtrend, gapping up a little bit, but that's a big old mess. LQDT, $24. All right, if that's gapping up here, that's worth watching. We'll come back to that. Oh, Janet, I've been using that term for a long time. FUBO 2040. It's gapping, to resistance, TJ. Now, ideally, what you would want to see on this pattern, because it's gapping up after 3 bars to resistance, is for it to go sideways for a week. And then you got yourselves an inverse head and shoulders, target 50. you hear Greg and I saying that all the time when we look at something and we're like, here's what we would love to see. And it doesn't mean it has to be that exact one, but you just, if it's something that you think could set up to be a good opportunity, then just watch it every day. Hurl, this gives me, this makes me want to hurl looking at that. So I got zero interest in that pattern. Pov, that's a housing stock. It's a big mess. Hoft, I see just one print at 22, but it's not liquid. Rent, we looked at yesterday. Gapping down to all-time lows. That's pretty ugly. That it's a bullish gap, but look at these moving averages. Remember we had a moving average MT live recently. If you were, if this is a great example, if you were to take the candlesticks off, these moving averages are just, and you see that it's at the 20 MAs at $1.56, you would say, looks like it's going to zero. I mean, that's just nasty liquidation there. Snap, Thomas, I'm not sure what do you want me to comment on there. Rita, pharmaceutical, this looks like the disaster du jour of the day. Look at this, gapping down at 31 bucks and cannot bounce. All-time lows, it looks like. That is ugly. So I have it's extended and it's far from the 20, but I have absolutely no idea where buyers might step up, where they think fundamentally that it's a good price. Rita, target we mentioned, if we can get a 1, 2, 3 short, that still looks good. Yeah, here's rent from yesterday. All right, Penn, I'm gonna set an alarm here, like I said, 53.20. And I already got it there. I didn't hear the bell go off, but my charts are moving around. A car low alarm, we're short this. Come on, we needed a swan dive. Roku holding relative strength here. Look